This week on Full Circle Florida, all the president's picks. Trump's cabinet chaos continues. Hegseth feeling the heat. Allegations of drinking, sexual assault. Is this a sign of things to come? The Florida connection and the controversies from Gates to Chronister withdrawing their names. Bondi and Rubio appear to be set up for a smooth confirmation. And now Governor Ron DeSantis being mentioned as a possible fallback pick for defense secretary. Are there more Florida names in the mix at the White House? Our panel sorts through it all. Crime, punishment, and the pardon. The president's son inherits the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card from his dad. Why did President Biden change his mind? Or did he really know all along? Our deep conversation this week with legal expert Jeremy Rosenthal. Welcome in, everyone, here to Full Circle Florida. We got a lot to get to, so let's get right to it. He is the host of the Ryan Gorman Show, weekday mornings on News Radio WFLA and iHeartRadio. Ryan Gorman back with us this week, and she, of course, is our voice of reason, the distinguished USF political science professor, Dr. Susan MacManus. You are a voice of reason. You are my partner in politics. I was going to say crime, but that's another thing. All right, a lot of meat on the bone to get to this week. So let's talk about Governor DeSantis being mentioned as a possible backup plan for defense secretary if Hegseth falls through. Shouldn't he have been the first option? He's got no personal baggage. He's a popular governor, decorated military veteran, Bronze Star. Why wasn't he the first choice?
Well, a lot of people thought that he was, after just winning this big governor's race, that was going to be sufficient or whatever. But the bottom line is Hegseth is very well known among a lot of the MAGA community. He's written a book that's very popular, well known, and Trump was eye-catching to Trump, and so it's not surprising that someone like him got the first shot.
Is it that personal thing between DeSantis and Trump?
I think that is a little bit in play here. I think DeSantis is the better choice. Yeah. I would take him every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't necessarily think Pete Hegseth is a bad choice. I think he's had a rough nomination process. I mean, when you're having to promise senators that you're not going to drink on the job, and mom's having to go on TV to vouch for you, and you've got the person who nominated you talking to other potential candidates, that's not great. But I think with DeSantis and Trump, there might be something there if Hegseth doesn't make it.
Would it be smart for DeSantis to take this job, or does it come with some serious risk? Does his fortunes rise and fall with Trump in office?
Well, obviously, any change like that is a risk, for you got a sure position versus one that could turn iffy very quickly. But if he has his eye on the presidency in the future, a lot of people think he does, this is the perfect position. A national position that's extremely important from a policy perspective and security perspective. High visibility, keep his name alive. But if he stayed till governor and was termed out in 2 years, it's hard to keep your name alive for the 2 more years till the next presidential race.
This seems like a harder job than being governor of Florida.
Well, especially with the situation around the world right now. I mean, you've got foreign policy threats coming from China, from Iran, from Russia. There's a big inbox for the incoming administration on the foreign policy front. So it would be a big job for DeSantis.
Trump wants major changes and reforms, so you can't just do it as business as usual. And DeSantis apparently is in line with all of that. But meanwhile, the growing Florida connection and these controversies continue with the cabinet picks. You had the Matt Gaetz situation, then this week, Trump picks Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister. Chronister withdraws his name to head up the DEA. Do you think Chronister wanted this job? And do you think, did Team Trump even ask him? What do you make of the back and forth between Trump and Chronister on who pulled out and why?
Some of it, I think, is a personal thing. If you know Chronister, people know he's a person of faith, and this issue was done at a time when he removed the pastor, when COVID rules were very stringent, but there was a lot of flack. But I think more importantly, he just didn't want to see his family have to go through what it was going to take for the next month. That's my guess.
Let's be honest, this whole thing was odd. I was surprised to see Chronister selected for that position. I'm wondering if it has something to do with Trump's new pick for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who has a working relationship with him. But then to see it all unravel the way it did seem like Team Trump was focused a little bit, maybe too much, on what the online crowd was saying, the pushback they were giving to Chronister, as opposed to whether or not he can get the job done. And he's been a very effective sheriff.
Isn't this what people are concerned about with Trump? Here comes President Chaos. No one's vetting these people. He just throws out these names into the circus, and then they either back out, they didn't want the job, or there's this disagreement over, whether they're merited, and they have all these personal baggage, or skeletons in their closet with Hegseth and Gates. Is this a sign of things to come and how the next 4 years is going to play out?
Well, everyone knows he's a different kind of politician, and that's exactly why a lot of people voted for him. They want some change. They want something different. And if it creates a little chaos at this point, they're willing to live with it as long as the status quo is eliminated. I think the real thing, the message of this election all the way up and down was, we don't like the status quo, we want change.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I think what I'm hearing from a lot of listeners, Trump supporters, is that when you're trying to make these seismic changes and shake up Washington, it's messy. And that's what we're seeing.
If you go back and watch The Apprentice and maybe read into that a little bit and how he's done things in the past, and certain CEOs operate this way, they operate with the people under them being a little bit uneasy. No one is, okay, this is my job, I own this thing, I can do whatever I want. Everyone's a little bit on edge. I mean, I think, is that his managerial style, that you can't take it for granted that, okay, you're in, and now you can just do whatever you want?
I would think that would be the message that these nominees have gotten if they've watched him over the past couple of years.
But I also think some of the reticence to pull the plug and whatever is to enhance the role of the Senate. After all, the president's going to have to rely on the Senate for confirmation of appointments and so forth.
All right, stay with us. We got more to talk about still to come on Full Circle Florida. The political upheaval around the world, from South Korea this week to France, plus the rise of the strong leader. What does it mean for next year? We'll discuss next.